Welcome. Today we're going to be looking at part 2 of solving with fractions. This is now going to be with two-step equations. So you'll see in our first example, two-step equation means that we have a variable term such as 2/3 x, and we have two constants, so plus a constant and equivalent to a constant. We're doing this two ways, bar model method, extra step from what we saw before, and the algebraic method. Let's get started by setting up my bar model. I'm going to put the left side of this equation in the top bar right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, all right, well, 2/3 x is my top term plus 4, whatever that is. And that's all going to be equivalent to 6. I can show these are equal because it's like that. This 6 is the length, and that should be equivalent to the length of 2/3 of whatever plus 4. Now, first I'm going to do is I know, hey, well, 4 and 6, I can kind of cut down like this. I can change this 6 is really then, go back. That 6 is really then I can split into a 4 and a 2. So now you can see that, hey, this is my new equivalency right here. You can check it out. 2/3 x is really the same as 2. So with that, I can make my bar model just like I did before. I have some x that if I split into to 3 equal pieces, so 1/3 x, 1/3 x, and 1/3 x, if I have 2/3 of that, which I'll highlight right here, 2/3 is equivalent to 2. So if I split that in part, this is 1, this is 1. That means that my last 1/3 will also be 1. So x altogether should equal 3. Let's go ahead and check that by using a new method, by looking at our algebraic method on the right. So I'm going to be basically doing the same sort of process. Two-step equation means the first thing I'm going to do is move the constant away from the variable term. That means I want to cancel out my positive 4. I'm going to do so with a negative 4. Got to do it on both sides. These should cancel, give me nothing. I'm left with 2/3 of x is equal to 6 minus 4 is 2. Notice that that's that same equivalency that I saw right over here in this box. Now I can just divide by my coefficient. My coefficient is 2/3 x. So I'm going to divide everything by 2/3 x. Ooh, weird looking stacked fraction, but this just means 2 divided by 2/3. Thinking all the way back to those 6th grade years, we know that we can stay flip-flip. 2 times 3/2 should be equivalent. I'll put this over 1 to make it easier for me to multiply straight across. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So we have two different methods that agree with each other here. Both of these agree. Oop, that's a nasty looking check mark. We'll replace this. Okay, now let's try this one more time. This is my next example. This time I'm going to ask you to answer some questions while I go through the process, because this is pretty much the same, but there's going to be a little bit of difference here. So I'm going to start by putting my left side of the equation on that top bar right here. I have 5/6 x. Now I have minus 3. There's a couple ways that you could show minus 3. I'm going to show it like this, and I'm just going to highlight it in a different color. You might wonder, why would I want to highlight this in a different color? Well, you might be thinking, well, it's negative. So it's when I kind of chop this part off, this next step right here, it's not really 5 minus 3. This is already 5/6 x less 3. That means that I really need to add that 3 back on to here. So what I really need to do over here is I'm going to add 3. I'm going to do the opposite of what I did on the top. So this will give me a new equivalency of, sorry for my sloppy box, 5/6 x is going to be equivalent to 8 on the bottom. So note these are going to be the same length over there. Now at this point, how many pieces do I need to make an x split into? That's right, 6 pieces. Because my 6 pieces there, I'm going to draw out what my 5/6 looks like. I'll highlight my 5/6 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/6, all equivalent to 8. So if it's all equivalent to 8, then what goes into each one of these boxes? Well, what is 8 divided by 5? Ooh, well, you could do some calisthenics and try to play around with it, but I'm just going to say it's the same as 8 divided by 5. I'm just going to write it in a fraction form, which means all together, if I have 6 8/5 all together, 6 8/5 all together. That'll give me 48/5. So my x equals 48/5. Or if you'd like to convert this, we know that 5 goes into 48 9 times with 3 left over. So there's our answer from the bar model method. Notice the bar model method is now getting a little bit more unwieldy for us. Or is at least getting that way for me. So at this point, this is where we typically like to transition everyone into the algebraic form so things can keep really neat and clean. Because now we do the same 2 steps that we always do for our 2-step problems. We move the constant that's closest to our variable term. So I'm going to cancel out my -3 with a +3. Leaves me with 5, 6x plus nothing equals 5 plus 3 is 8. Divide by your coefficient. So divided by 5, 6. X is, all right, stay, flip, flip. Oh, notice that this is the same exact that I was seeing before, 8 times 6/5. Ooh, that's actually equivalent to 6 times 8 all divided by 5. So now we have x equals 48/5. Now it should be looking very familiar. And remember, we can always convert back. 5 goes into 48, 9 times with 3 left over. So again, same process. Just notice that sometimes that work that might look a little bit more unwieldy on the left side now kind of actually seems a little bit more streamlined on the right. But you really want to develop how this works.